Good afternoon. This is Bob with County Records Research. Welcome to our Friday webinar. Today is Friday, January 20th, 2017. It's 2:30 p.m. and we're going to go ahead and get started with our presentation. And because we have recently upgraded the website itself, we did want to go ahead and just show you the home page to get this presentation started. We've activated the visual portion of the screen so you can see the home page here. Our logo up on top, our 800 number on the right. You'll notice that right above our 800 number is our chat line button. If we have an active chat being handled, then you're going to notice that this is going to say online. It says offline right now because I'm not currently managing the chat line because we're doing the presentation. When it says online, that means you can just click on this button and ask us questions, and we'll be able to help you in real time so that you can focus on what you need to do in terms of accomplishing your goals. So keep in mind that we want to give you every opportunity to ask us questions so that you can take advantage of the data by being able to think through the ways that you can reason out the best way to get your deals. Now, below that, you'll see a header for foreclosure processing. This is our foreclosure processing information for clients who have notes on properties. We are able to process foreclosures for you throughout the state of California, and that gives you an opportunity to buy notes and then have us process the foreclosure for you. When you're looking at the different strategies, Kurt's Junior Lender Buyout strategy is a direct extension of the fact that we've helped people foreclose on notes for many years. So when you're considering ways to buy a property, just remember that buying notes is just one additional way to buy properties other than making offers or bidding at the auction. Okay, now next to foreclosure processing is our pricing, and that's what I click on if I want to see the different pricing. We have a very basic structure. We have 3 different price schedules. We have an all zone price that gets you all 5 states that we cover, the whole West Coast, plus Nevada and Arizona, or we have a 2 zone price of $154 for 2 county zones, or a 1 zone price of $89. Obviously $195 for all 5 states is the better package deal, and that's an account that you can use for everyone on your team. So remember that these are team accounts. Anybody that has an account on our site is welcome to share that account with other team members and then share the cost with other team members, making it both cost effective and a very reasonable solution to finding all the data on the properties that you're interested in researching. To the left of that is our free trial option. A great way to get started if you haven't already used the site is to start a free trial with a 5 days free and get in here and take a look at the property information. Next to that is our login option. That's where we're going to get started. Next to that is our About Us to find more about County Records Research, and of course Home if I've left this page and I want to go somewhere else. Now, if I scroll further down, you'll notice we have some basic information on the different features of the site, and then another option to start your free trial. Now down below, this is the navigation bar. If you are familiar with our older website design, the navigation bar was on the left-hand side of your page. In this format, I like it a lot better. This is a lot more ergonomic. You have all of the different features of the site available at your fingertips at the bottom border of the website. So we have our foreclosure processing section again, training and support, which is very beneficial for people that want to get here and look at property information but want to learn the processes of buying properties. So Foreclosure 101 is our overview article that describes how to buy properties and the processes of foreclosure. Industry terms and definition gives you some good helpful terms that you can reference, because we do refer to these terms quite often in our discussions. Free resources and links takes you to other websites that you can use, and a video training and how to use this website, or videos that help you with some of your questions. Now, to the left of that is some logins for our affiliate program, and to set up an affiliate account if you don't already have one, we recommend you consider it. Our bidding service login, if you want to join our bidding service and use our bidding agent at the auction to buy you properties. That's always a great backup strategy. If you haven't bought at the auction but you'd like to, and you have cash available in the form of liquid capital, cashier's checks, then you can place bids through our website in Los Angeles County today, and you can have properties purchased for you at the auction by a professional, knowing that you're going to only pay as much as you're willing to pay. You tell us the most you're willing to spend on a property, and then we go and bid at the auction for you. If we can't get it for less than that, we don't buy it, and you don't pay for that service unless you buy it. So it's a really good overall package that helps you to buy at the auction without having to go there yourself. Below that are other options. Property search is once we go to log into our account, we'll select property search. Frequently asked questions is a series of questions that people have asked and we have answers. Our forms page is available for subscribers only. If you want to access different forms to make offers, it's there for you. Also forms to tell people to get out of the property, forms to make offers to buy notes. Pretty much any form you're going to come across needing will be on the forms page of the site. Below that are testimonials, a reference for logging in for our trustee sales field trips if you want to get sent notices of upcoming trips. Our foreclosure basics, that's also a sign up to get emails about information, and of course email notifications as well. Finally, to the left, we have About Us, our privacy policy, our calendar of upcoming events. Now, some of you that are joining us right now might be familiar with this page. This is our calendar of upcoming seminars and events. That includes our field trips. You'll notice that we're going to be out in Pomona in Los Angeles County in February on the 3rd. And whenever we have a field trip here locally, we oftentimes will have an accompanying evening seminar. So now the field trips are at the top. These are daytime events because these are scheduled in conjunction with the actual auctions themselves. So the auctions are not held in the evening, they're held during the day. So this is going to be at 10:30 a.m. at Civic Center Plaza in Pomona, and there's the address. This is also a link to a map so you don't get lost. And if I scroll down further, oops, I forget this one has little different scroll down. It's got a second one. Now, notice that I had my little bar to the left here because I've got a smaller page because I'm working within the software for the presentation. So I couldn't see my little second scroll bar. So I'm going to pull this down. And this shows us that we're going to be at Sam's Real Estate Club on February 1st. So notice on February 1st, we're going to be doing an evening presentation from 6:30 to 9 p.m. On Santa Monica Boulevard in Los Angeles. And then a couple days later, we're going to be at the auction, and there I did it again. I grabbed the wrong scroll bar. So now I grabbed the little inner scroll bar here, and that takes me back up to my Pomona information. Now, below that is our webinar information. These are the links that are going to be updated every week to give you access to our webinars. Currently, we schedule our webinars from 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. Do look for a change in that. It looks like we're going to be making them earlier in the day. We've had some people ask us to put them from 12 to 1 so that they're in conjunction with people's lunch hours. So you are going to see a slight change in the webinar scheduling on our live presentations. Now, all of these presentations will eventually wind up uploaded into our video library on YouTube. And the way to get to our YouTube demonstrations is just to click where it says click here to view previous demonstrations. And of course now if you've seen us on YouTube, then you already know about that collection of archived records. If you haven't been to the actual site itself, then just be aware if you go to our calendar of upcoming seminars, you can click on the live link at the scheduled time, which is shown above with the date and time, and then join us for that live event. Okay, now if I go down to the bottom again, notice I can go right back to my other information. So I could go to see my terms of use, or I can send us an email through Contact Us, or I can register a new account if I haven't done one already by clicking Register Now, or I can select the blog. And you'll notice here's our blog. This is a series of articles that we've done. In conjunction with Foreclosure 101, this is a great supplement to your learning experience, because with the blog, what we're doing is we're citing specific examples of success. Okay, so if you look at your Foreclosure 101 overview, watch a few of our videos, and then also look at the blog to see specific examples in writing of someone's great success. Then you'll get an idea of the ingenuity that that you're going to develop for yourself as you research properties and discover ways to buy them. Okay, so the blog here gives us, we put a few articles in here every month, 1 to 3 articles every month, sometimes more, sometimes less, and it's archived, so you have actually years worth of blog articles, all examples of success, or sometimes once in a while a missed opportunity, or where a property goes REO because it was an opportunity that someone missed and didn't buy at the auction and it went back to the lender. So we are going to make example of what should have been done and what shouldn't have been done. And we're going to try and give you very classic examples of how you can use the data to get out there and buy properties. Okay, now I'm going to go down to the bottom back here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back up to the top. Let's see, and I'm going to select home. Okay. Well, what happened there? Okay. All right, that's a little different. All right, so what I'm going to do is, oh, it looks like I'm already logged into my account, so I'm going to go ahead and select my account. Okay, that's acting a little funny. So what we're going to do, okay, my home page is acting a little different. Let's just go ahead and we're going to select property search instead. How's that? Okay, that's better. Okay, all right. I've just selected property search, and I'm going to go ahead and type in my username and my password. Got a short password today. All right, and I'm going to hit submit. Okay, now I've just logged into my property search option. Now you'll notice I went ahead and I selected property search as my option, and it went ahead and took me to my property search screen once I logged in. It gave me the login option and it took me right to property search. So now I've got my access to my property search window, where I've got California, Nevada, and Arizona, and now I've got the 2 additional states that we've just recently added of Washington and Oregon. So any one of these states is acceptable if I'm looking for properties in those areas. Now, there are some different foreclosure specifics, different documents that are used. So if you're unfamiliar, we do suggest that you check on the foreclosure rules and regulations that are followed in those various states if you're looking in a state you're unfamiliar with. For instance, California and Nevada are virtually identical in terms of the foreclosure process, whereas Arizona, Washington, and Oregon are slightly different than those 2. So if you're unfamiliar, you can always call us up and ask questions, or ask us to send you a summary of what the different options are, or the different foreclosure rules are in the different states, and we'll be happy to send you a summary for a state you're unfamiliar with. Now, I'm very familiar with California because this is where I do most of my foreclosure shopping, so we're going to be looking at California today. Now, I happen to like certain counties more than others because I'm more familiar with them. I'm very familiar with Los Angeles and Riverside County. I'm going to go ahead and select today Los Angeles County North. Every once in a while we get some folks that are interested in buying properties in the area up around Palmdale and Lancaster. I personally prefer areas closer to, say, Castaic up in the hills. I'm sure they've got some interesting weather there right now, so we're gonna look at some properties in these different areas. Gorman, there are a variety of different property cities up in those areas where you might have a specific desire to get something that's a little bit away from the beaten path. So we're going to look in LA County North and see what we can see. Now, whenever I select a county zone, you'll notice that I just put my cursor over Riverside County and I get a list of cities. So whenever we pick a county zone, now we can also pick multiple counties if I wanted to search LA County North and Riverside, or if I wanted to do LA County North and also LA County West, which would give me the northern area of LA County plus the San Fernando Valley. Okay, I could do all of LA County by selecting all, or I can unselect that and say, okay, I just want to go back to LA County North. Okay, so now I've selected my one county zone. Now I'm going to scroll down the page a bit. You'll notice there's a section called Single Property Search. Now this is a wonderful section, one of my favorite tools on the site, because it allows me to do my secondary chain of research after I've discovered a property I'm interested in, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Okay, so single property search is for known properties when we're trying to isolate and research further a property that we're familiar with and that we'd like to know more about. Below that is our general property search, and this is where we always get started. This is the workhorse of the website. So I've selected LA County North. You'll also notice that right underneath the general property search header it says choose one, and I've got a section where I can make a choice from the different status options that we have available. I've got notice as a default, I've got upcoming trustee sales, I've got new REO lender owned. Okay, now in the center I've got our drop bid report. Now drop bid report is a subset of upcoming sales. What does that mean? It means that there are a lot of properties on their way to auction. That's our upcoming trustee sales. Those are also referred to as notices of trustee sale. Okay, as they approach the auction, a small percentage, about 10%, will have an opening bid announced prior to the auction. This is what we call a dropped or specified bid, and this is where the lender has said ahead of the auction, hey, I'm going to sell this for this much, please come to my auction. So a drop bid is really kind of a banner waving, saying, hey, come to my auction, buy my property. Now, most of the time the lenders don't go out of their way to wave that banner and say, come to my auction. Most of the time what the lenders are going to do is they're just going to say, well, if we're going to discount it, we're going to discount it, and if they show up, they show up. Okay, because you know most of these properties, I'm sure you've probably heard, when they go to auction they become an REO, a bank-owned property. That's why that's one of our options is new REO lender owned, because the bottom line is this: either the price is right or it's not. Okay, and if the price is right, either someone shows up and buys it or they don't. Now the lender is going to buy it no matter what. Okay, so the bottom line is if it goes to auction and the auction is held, the only reason the lender wouldn't buy it is if A, the price is right, and B, someone shows up there with the cashier's checks to cover that price. Okay, if those two standards aren't met, then what happens is what you have is an REO, a property that goes back to the lender and is now bank owned and is now one that we can try and obtain through the lender that took it back. Now, I personally prefer to start the process of buying properties well before then, because that's a limited option. It means I can make an offer to a lender that just took a property back. Okay, doesn't mean you can't do it, and sometimes you get an exceptional bargain that way. However, most often the bargains are to be had before the property goes to auction or at the auction itself, either by buying the property directly from the property owner or by buying a loan in the form of a note purchase from the lender on the property, and it could be one of many lenders. There could be 1, 2, 3, 4 lenders on a property, maybe even 5. Most people who buy notes will buy firsts or seconds, or perhaps once in a while a third. Okay, when you're searching for a note purchase, it's a little bit more strategic in how you do your research, and we are here to answer your questions and give you guidance, because buying a note is just like bidding at the auction. You got to do your homework. You have to be satisfied that you have resolved any potential surprises, because a surprise at the auction can be bad. Sometimes they're good, but most often a surprise is unwelcome. We want to have as many facts behind us as possible if we're bidding with cashier's checks, because it's an as-is purchase, and once it's done, it's done. Okay, now that's why it's not for the shy, but it's also for the people that are willing to do their research, because that's the opportunity, isn't it? If I know what's going on and I've got the cashier's checks, I can get a deal where someone else who doesn't do the research will simply pass on it, and then I come away the winner. Okay, so now, whenever we come to this section, notice the default will always be selected for us. Okay, and that's simply to give us a starting point. So when notice a default is selected, you'll notice that we have listed dates below, January 6th to January 20th. Okay, so from the 6th to the 20th, that's a 2-week range, starting with today's date and then looking forward. Now, if I choose the second option, that's upcoming trustee sales, notice that the listed dates vanish and auction dates appear. That's, again, we're trying to give you the most selected and obvious choices in terms of the dates to get you started. Now, once you're used to researching on the site, you're going to be playing with these dates and moving them around. For instance, if I'm not satisfied with these auction dates, I can move them. Like today's date is the 20th, right? So it's already after 2 o'clock. There's not going to be any auctions that I can participate in now. It's too late. So I'm going to say maybe I move my auction date forward to Monday, the 23rd. And since I've done that, now I've got the 23rd to the 3rd. Maybe I want to bump this other date. Maybe I want to bump this out to as far as the 23rd of February. I can do that. Okay, so now what I've just done is I've taken what was a 2-week range starting in today's date, and I've modified it. I've moved it forward out to the 23rd of February, and I pushed it forward slightly to Monday, the 23rd of January, so that I'm not worrying about auctions that were scheduled to go today because they're already done. Okay, so I've got upcoming trustee sales selected as opposed to those notices of default. And I picked an auction date range from Monday through the 23rd of next month. So that gives me a nice wide range. Now, because I've selected a nice wide range, I can be more picky in terms of my type of property because I've expanded my dates. Now I can minimize the type of property I'm looking for. So let's say, for instance, I was only interested in multifamily. Okay, now I haven't done this search today, so I don't know what I'm going to get, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select apartment. Okay, this is my property use code option, and I've selected apartment, and I'm going to keep it in the standard view. Okay, now notice that I have an option right by my search button that says only active sales. Now, if I'm only interested in buying at auction, then I would select this by checking that little checkbox. What that will do is eliminate any canceled sales from the list. Now, bear in mind, then that removes any canceled sales that were canceled for a reason other than that they paid their loan off. Okay, so what if I'm interested in making offers too? Then I'm also interested in those sales that have already been canceled, because they might have been canceled for a reason other than that the owners paid their loan off. Okay, they might have been canceled because they filed bankruptcy, or they might have been canceled because they requested a modification and they're in the process of being considered. Okay, so and they might be canceled because the notice of sale has expired. One of these notices of sale is good for 1 year only. So you're going to find when you look at a canceled sale, sometimes it's simply that the paperwork has expired and they have to publish a new notice. So if I'm going to make offers, I don't check this box because I'm interested in those canceled sales, because everybody else will ignore them. Okay, so we're going to keep that door open. We're going to look at all multifamilies from the 23rd to the 23rd sale dates, auction dates. This will include sales that have been postponed from other days too. And that's why we choose auction dates when we're picking upcoming trustee sales. So now notice I have two different search buttons. Search without polygon and search polygon. And now below here I have a map. This map is for my polygon. Okay, so if I were to design a polygon in the target area, let's say I wanted to draw a box around Lancaster or Lake Hughes or Quartz Hill or Lake Los Angeles, okay, then I can do so, okay? But let's just say I don't want to do that for the moment. I just want to do a search of multifamily units in LA County North that are scheduled to go to auction in this 30-day period, and I'm willing to look at even canceled sales because I'm willing to make offers because I'm looking to buy myself a fourplex or maybe a nice triplex. Okay, so let's see if we get lucky. Okay, I haven't done this search, so I don't know how many we're going to see. So I'm going to hit search without polygon, and here's my report. Now, this is a nice report for a Friday afternoon. There's only 6 records. Now notice above the map I have map reflects 0 to 20 of 6 total records. Now, if this number was greater than 20, then below the map on the left, I have show 20, 40, 60. I could hit the 40 or the 60 to accommodate a larger number, but I don't have to do that this time. I only have 6 records. So I had a feeling it wouldn't be that great a number, but again, that's one of the reasons why I expanded my date range out farther. Okay, so since I expanded my date range out farther, that gave me an opportunity to just go ahead and get a shorter list of properties, but have a focused list of properties because I specified I only wanted the multifamilies. Now, because I selected upcoming sales, the default sorting function is going to be by the dates of the auctions. So notice on the far right I've got an NTS sale date column, and it's 125, 130, 22, 26, 217, and 221. Okay, so notice it's just descending order from the 25th, which is what next week, the Wednesday, okay, and then the 30th, the 2nd, the 6th, the 17th, and finally the 21st. So now on the left-hand side, I have Palmdale, Canyon Country, Santa Clarita, Canyon Country again, and Lancaster again. Okay, so obviously Canyon Country and Lancaster are going to be, you know, my 2 primary groupings, and that's what we see on the map up above. So we see Lancaster's got 2. We've got this one sitting out here in Palmdale. Now Canyon Country is right near Santa Clarita, so these are all kind of bunched together right here. Okay, now, so there's nothing like going into the list and seeing what's going on, and that's what we're going to do. Now, notice my status column. None of these are canceled. Okay, so even though I was willing to look at canceled sales, none of these are. So these are all pending, but they all have different dates. So I've got time to look at them individually. Now again, because they're sorted by the date that they're pending, I'm going to start with the top and move my way down because this is the one that's got the shortest amount of time before it can go to auction. This is one on Avenue Q7 in Palmdale. Now, this has a lot size of 7,100 square feet. Square footage is 3644, so it's a decent sized little building. We've got an 8 as a room count. So this is maybe a fourplex, 2 and 2s, okay, 2 bedroom, 2 baths maybe. Okay, so I'm going to assume it's a fourplex. Now, of the 6, this is the only one where the lender has set an opening bid price. Now, notice what we've got. We've got a property that's supposedly worth about $423. We have an estimated value column of $423,184. The lender was owed $334 at the time that they issued this original sale notice document. Now, the opening bid is $359,684 and 30 cents. Notice it's to the penny. All right, that tells you this lender's serious. They've done the math, and this is exactly what they're owed. They're not messing around, and they're not rounding numbers. Okay, they're taking it to the penny. So they believe on the lender side of the equation that 359, 684, and 30 cents, that someone's willing to spend that amount of money to buy this particular property. Now, maybe their estimate of value was higher. Okay, they could have a comp value from someone that's higher than our 423. Remember that if this is a fourplex, it's considered residential. You might have a Zillow value of this place of over 5. Okay, if Zillow says it's worth over 5 and that's what they're going by, they could open the bid at 359 and assume that someone's going to buy it. Okay, also notice that since the number from 334 has progressed by about 25 grand to 359, that we now see that the amount that's owed has grown by $25,000 since the original issuance of the notice of sale. This auction has been postponed multiple times because it's gone up by 25 grand. Okay, and we're talking a loan that's probably about originally probably about a $300,000 to $400,000 loan. So 25 grand doesn't happen overnight. So this has been postponed quite a few times. Also notice that we have under the status postponed. So when I open this up, I'm guessing I'm going to see a sale notice that's a good 10, 11 months old. Okay, and I'm just making a guess there because if you take 10 in terms of months by a payment of about $2,500, that's your 25 grand. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up the Avenue Q7 property in Palmdale and see what we can see. All right, so I was off a little bit. We've got a sale notice that was listed in our system back in April of 2016, so it's not quite 10 months, it's closer to 9. Okay, and what we have is we have a trustor, interesting trustor. The trustor, if you'll notice, is an LLC that has essentially the same name as the address of the property. So they basically called themselves the 414 Avenue Q7 LLC. So they've named their LLC after the actual address of the unit. That's not uncommon. Okay, that's actually quite common with an off-site investor that simply creates an LLC as a basis for their investment. Now, what's odd here to me is these loans are very recent. This is a very recent purchase. This is only what, 3 years old? So they've owned this property for about 3 years. They've been collecting rents. Let's see what more we can see, because the loans are from 2014, you'll note. And you'll also notice the purchase date is from 2014. So they bought the property in February of 2014 for $325,000. At that time, they borrowed $292,000 as a first, and then they 7 months later they borrowed another 22 grand. So they're kind of doing this on a shoestring, and they've only had the property for about 3 years, but they're in foreclosure. So somebody's plan didn't work out as intended. Okay, so there might be an opportunity here because obviously somebody was thinking in a manner that didn't quite fit the model. Okay, so now what we have is we have this loan that was 334 was the amount that was owed at the time they issued this notice of sale, and it has grown to this opening bid price of 359, 684, 30 here at the bottom. So you notice this is a notice of sale record, so you're going to have auction details at the bottom here. Notice the initial sale date when they owed 334 was May of 2016. Now we've got a sale date at the end of January of 2017, and that number has progressed, like I said, by about 25 grand. Okay, so it's growing. Okay, now the beneficiary is a company called Black Golden LLC. All right, never heard that name before, so that's a new one on me. This phone number is actually for the company that's conducting the auction. So you could dial that if you want. You're just going to wind up coding in this trustee cell reference number and getting a status, because that's all you can really do with this. This is not a contact number. Now, if I wanted to get the contact number for the party that's foreclosing, I would go back to the notice of default that predated this notice of sale and see if I could reach out to the lender and offer to buy their loan as a possibility. Okay, now because this 359 was originally 292 3 years ago. So this whole picture is just kind of muddy to me, because why would you buy an income property 3 years ago and be floundering and in foreclosure now, and have 60 grand more than you originally borrowed, unless you're really mismanaging this thing to the hilt? Okay, so now I got to tell you, mismanaged properties are an opportunity as long as we have a good solid valuation and we know what we're doing. Now, because the lender's already set a price point of $359 for the auction, I'm asking myself, is my estimate of value of $423, is this accurate? So I'm just going to click the link to Zillow really quick. Zillow says it's worth $349. Okay, so whoa, okay, so what does that tell you? According to Zillow, since they owe $359 and it's worth $349, way upside down, because that's not even taking into account the second. Now, at auction, the second's wiped out. Okay, this second is losing his shirt. There's no point in trying to buy this second because there's no equity because of the first's current principal balance. Now, the only deal to buy a note here is to try and reach out to the holder of the first loan and then continue the foreclosure if the first is willing to sell it to you. I would think in this position, depending upon who this first is, they're probably thinking they're going to try and take this property back and get back whatever they can, either by reselling the property itself or becoming a landlord. Okay, because there's a reason they lent the money to begin with. And maybe that's the bottom line, is they're going to wind up becoming a landlord unless they either sell the note, which again I'm doubting, because they just set an opening bid of $359. If they wanted to get rid of this property, they would drop this price. It's too high for that. So I'm thinking they want the building. Okay, I'm thinking that's what's going on here, is you've got a lender who wants the building. I don't know if you got a deal here, because the other option is to try and go to this LLC, but they're at a PO box, so it's hard to track them down, and we're short on time. And the lender's already set a price point that's too high. In my estimation, I thought it was too high when I thought the property was worth $423. Let's take a quick look at the house just before we leave this profile. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, it's not my idea of a summer home, but it's not bad. That's an income property. It is what it is. Okay, you could turn that into a moneymaker if you managed it right. Again, I have a feeling that's exactly what this lender is going to do. Okay, and because they've already set that opening bid at auction, it's not going to fall, because it's like putting the price sticker on the car. Once the dealerships put the price sticker on the car, that's the price. Okay, there's no haggling with them. Okay, so I'm going to say bye-bye to that one, and I'm going to say let's go to property number 2 on the report. Let's go to Diver Street in Canyon Country. Oh, and I just had an awakening. Notice what we've got here on Diver Street in Canyon Country. It's here twice. Okay, now that's a little odd, you'd think, but notice something else. We've got loan position 2 and loan position 1, and we've got 2 different auction dates. Okay, this is one reason why you want to have a report that is also backed up by a support team where you can sit here and reason this stuff out. This is also why you want to research specific properties to make sure you're not going to put your foot in it. Okay, because here you got a first that's owed about $1 million. That's going to go to auction on February 6th. Okay, you got a second that's owed $417,000 that's going to go to auction on January 30th. Okay, so the first, going back down here, the first is owed $1,077,000, The second is owed about 417. Okay. Now the property appears to be worth about $1.1 million. So would you bid on that second? Heck no. Let's open up that profile, because this is a learning point. We always got to look at learning points, because that's what they're all about. So this is a second that I wouldn't bid on with your money. All right. And now what's going to happen is, if this goes to auction, gone, I'm already going to predict this second is going to wind up owning the property. Okay. This second is going to wind up owning the property, and they're going to be stuck with a first that's owed over $1 million. Now let's learn a few more things. Now this is a purchase date of 2001. These are both refinance loans. So the owners of this property, looks like they live at the property. So it looks like a duplex, and their mailing address is the same. So this is all kind of striking me as a little odd. And wow, okay. Well, this ain't the Haney place. This is a nice looking house. So what you got is, you got a nice ranch style home, sprawling actually. What's the square footage on this place? Wow, 48. Okay. So nice big lots, swimming pool with the jacuzzi, little like a mother-in-law house over here off to the side, or you know, I don't know what you call that. I guess that's the best way to represent that. And so we can assume that what they did is they bought the property, they took out these extra funds. Now, the place was built in '88, bought in 2001, so they might have been secondary owners. They might have taken out these extra loans to build it out and to do extra stuff on it. It isn't a bad little area. It isn't a bad little spot. Okay, if I zoom out a little bit, I get a better look. Okay, so you got this little outbuilding over here. So they put some effort into it. Again, it's not a bad little setup that they've got if you had need of this much space. Look at that driveway. Yeah. Okay, so bottom line is this. They bought it in '01. They refied for $1 million in '06. They took out an extra $420,000 in '07. This is all right before the market crashed, right? So I'm guessing maybe they thought, oh, we're going to build this place up. We're going to make a nice little ranch house out of it. Then we're going to turn around and sell it, and you know, we'll be fine. Okay. And then the market went down, and now they're in trouble. Now what you've got is, you got a second that's owed pretty much what they borrowed. Now, let me make a point. Both of these loans are about owed almost what they borrowed initially 10 years ago. So these folks were actually trying to maintain, but something fell down. Okay, now, so you could try and do a short sale offer to them. You got to set a price point though. What's the point that we always try to make in our discussions? You got to pick a price before you go to negotiate a deal. Otherwise, you don't know what you're doing. Okay, because if I want to buy this property, what am I willing to spend? If it's really worth $1.1 million, what's my price? 800,000, 750. Okay, let's check Zillow. What's Zillow say? Wow, Zillow says it's worth $2 million. Okay, hope that your buyer reads Zillow. Okay, because bottom line is this. This is one of the biggest gaps in a comp value that I've seen on a property. Zillow is at 2 million, we're at 1 million. Okay, if this was a $2 million home, wouldn't they have sold it? I think so. Now it says it's off market. I'm going to check really quick. I'm scrolling down Zillow. Price history. Let's see what that says. Wow. Okay, so they've been trying to sell this puppy. They had it listed, remember what I said, okay? So they borrowed all this money. They put it on the market in 2008 for $2.5 million, okay? And they got the listing removed in November, and then nothing, okay? And then 6 years go by, and they relisted it again in 2014 for half the price, for 1.399, 1.4. Okay, so that was listed for about 5 months at 1.4, and then they pulled it again. Okay, so this is a white elephant. They're having trouble selling it. Okay, now they're in a pickle where they're not treading water anymore, and the amount that they owe on their loans, because these are 10-year-old loans, they should have paid them down somewhat. So the amount that they're owing has reached break-even point with what they originally borrowed. Actually, it's a little bit more now because we know that they owe that first, the 1 point something. So first things first. The second, I don't have a pole long enough to touch this puppy because I wouldn't even use a 10-foot pole on this one. It's too distant and too much of a mess. So I'm going to close out this record, and I'm going to go to the one with the foreclosing first. Okay, notice all the same information. Here's your foreclosing first. That's $1 million first. That's now owed $1,077,000. So this lender, if depending upon which comp they're pulling, they could discount at auction. Okay, if I went to go make an offer right now as a short sale, say my target price is $750, I have to get Donald and Katharina to agree. I then have to get 2 different lenders to agree. Okay, that's a tough one. Okay, that's a tough one, especially since they're both at this close to foreclosing at the auction. Okay, so what I would think is I could try my short sale, would never even touch that second, whether it was bidding at the auction or buying the note, and then be prepared to potentially bid at the auction and hope that this first discounts at the trustee sale, assuming that they're going with an estimated value closer to ours. Now, if the comp value that the lender's working with is closer to 2 million, forget about it. They're going to assume that they can get $1 million at the auction. So I'm not holding my breath on this one. It's not really a duplex from my perspective. This is really kind of an estate ranch home with the mother-in-law cottage. Okay, so it is what it is. If you love it, try to make an offer. If you can't get the short sale approved, then be prepared to bid at auction if the price is low enough. If it goes to auction and the price is too high, make an offer after the fact as an REO. Okay, I'm going to close out that one. Now that knocked out 2 birds with 1 stone. That's pretty good. Okay, so in between these two is this property on Pine Street in Santa Clarita with a foreclosing first. Okay, now also one more point on the property on Diver Street in Canyon Country. Notice the second is going to auction first. This is a strategy. Okay, and notice that whenever you see a foreclosing second with a significant first, you always want to research that property further in the system to see what activity has been going on with that property by parcel number to make sure that the first isn't already in arrears too. Because if I don't pay my second, I don't pay my first. Some people make the assumption that with the second foreclosing and the first not, that the first is somehow being paid and the homeowner is just simply ignoring the second lender. That doesn't happen. Okay, what happens is one lender beats the other to the punch, and in this case the second beat the first to the punch, right? So the second's going to keep going because the first is not going to pay any money to the second to shut them up, because the second's hoping that someone will see this auction for 417 and not do their homework. The second's hoping that you won't guess that the first is coming to auction a week later, and that you'll show up and bid 400,000 and they'll get paid. Because if that doesn't happen, then what's going to happen is the second's going to own the property, and a week later the first is going to wipe them out. Okay, so keep in mind when you have a situation, there's always a way to reason it out and ask yourself, what should I do or what shouldn't I do? Okay, let's open up Pine Street, Santa Clarita. Okay, well, this is an interesting one. First of all, I see the trustor is Michael Hurtado. Okay, but the owner is Global Tech Research. Okay, so I thought that this was a duplex or something. It is a duplex, and it says the owner is Global Tech Research. So this is like a place where they do experiments on people, I guess. Okay, now I've opened up this profile. Okay, which one is it? Looks like it's this one here. Okay, notice sometimes those little blue dots that are for the geocoding aren't exactly perfect. Now, pine would indicate that it's probably one of these two. Okay, now we're going to kind of just do a little bit more research here. First of all, notice the P.O. box for the owner, Global Tech Research, is in Pasadena. Okay, so Global Tech Research is a third-party owner using a P.O. box in Pasadena. Michael Hurtado is the person who borrowed the money. Could be the same party under a different name, pseudonym, or a corporation or what have you, okay? But to focus, Global Tech Research is the party I'd need to talk to buy the property, okay? Because now, it's Marcella Hurtado, excuse me. So Marcella borrowed the money, but Global Tech Research is the owner, okay? So now they're foreclosing on Marcella. They're going to take the house from Global Tech. Okay, are we clear on that? Okay, now notice also we have some facts here. First of all, we have a loan from 2003 that's foreclosing. That's the one for Marcella. But notice my purchase date is 2009. So Marcella sold or transferred ownership over to Global Tech in 09 with a loan that was from 03. Following that, in 2012, they borrowed $206,000, and in 2014, they borrowed another 75 grand. So Global Tech has been taking out this other money from a third location. Maybe these are commercial loans. I'm not sure what that would be since Global Tech is like a company. These should, because this is a duplex, these should be only residential loans, but they could be business loans. Okay, now consequently, the 183 that's in senior position, they're now owed 255. So they've been in arrears for a little while because they are owed about, it's gone up about 60 grand. So that's about a 30% increase in principal balance. So I'm going to guess these other loans are which are relatively recent, they're probably not getting paid at all. Okay, now they probably paid this second payments until they decided to cut and run, because this is what it looks like to me. If they're up 60K on the first, then these other two have gone up too. So we now have a combination. So we show a total here of 465. That number's not right because the first is not 183 anymore. It's 255 at least. Now let me scroll up. Let me point out the list date is January 9th of this year, so this is a very new report, very new profile. I would guess that you have the potential for these other loans to be foreclosing too. However, if I'm buying at the auction, I don't care. Okay, unless for some reason there was a subordination agreement, okay, which is an agreement that would change the positions of these relative loans, then that wouldn't be an issue. Now, if I was bidding at auction, that's one of the first things I would double check, is make sure there's no subordination agreement. Because consider, if you were going to loan somebody this $75,000 in 2014 that had these two senior loans, you could say, I'll loan you the money, but I want to be the second, or I want to be the first. I don't want to be behind these two big guys, okay, because I'm just a little $75,000 third. I want to be the second, or I want to be the first, okay? That would be a subordination if the other lender agrees to that, changing places, okay? Now, if that were the case, then let's say the 75 was a first because they got a subordination agreement, then these positions would be wrong. Okay, now our researchers are pretty good, so I doubt that's the case. But do you want to throw the dice and find out that that 75,000 is there, or find out that that 206,000 is actually the first? Do you want to find that out after the auction? No, you want to find out before. Okay, so when I do my research on this property, first of all, there's an opportunity here because this senior loan for 255 is threatening to wipe out these other two. So could I buy this second at a discount? If it is in fact a second, you betcha. Okay, this is an opportunity. to try and buy this second loan. Remember those other properties? I said, no way, no way. This looks like this might be an opportunity if there's no subordination agreement. Now let's scroll down and see who this lender is. Okay, notice I don't know who the lender is. Quality Loan Service is a trustee. They're a processor down in San Diego County. The 800 number we have here is for Quality Loan Service. That's who's conducting the auction. The auction is being held on Sycamore Drive in Norwalk. This is a hotel, and that's where Quality Loan Service conducts their auction. Okay, so I have a second step of research to do. Remember, I was going to show you this, so here we go. I'm going to take and copy the parcel number, right-click, copy. Now, for the purposes of the demonstration, I'm using Google Chrome, so I'm going to go up here on top, and I'm going to hit my main page tab. I'm going to scroll up to the single property search and drop in my parcel number and hit paste, and I'm going to hit search, and there I go. Now, what I just did is I just pulled up our rap sheet on this property, and this is our foreclosure rap sheet. This is a list of the documents that we have in our system going back about 8 years. So notice I have these 3 documents that have no sale dates, and then I have 2 documents that have sale dates. No sale date is a notice of default. Okay, no sale date is a notice of default. Sale date is a notice of sale. Sale date is a notice of sale. Okay, so what I have here is I have notices of default from 2009, 2015, and 2016. Okay, and then I have notices of sale from 2009 and 2017. Okay, so what we have is we have a history. These are all foreclosing first loans. Okay, so the first has been foreclosing, it looks like, each time. Now, the notice of sale that was issued in January, just came out, is going to be tied to this notice of default right here. So I'm going to open this one up. Okay, and I'm going to scroll down. U.S. Bank, that's your lender. Okay, so U.S. Bank is our lender on this property. Okay, now notice, oh, what is this here? Okay, notice this here. We have a $75,000 loan from 2014 and what looks like a $65,000 loan from 2015. Okay, this is looking hinky. Okay, that's our professional term for somebody's being very creative. Okay, someone's being very creative here. I would research my information here. If I was going to buy this property, I better make sure I'm straight on my information, because the purchase date doesn't match the loans. The trustor and the owner are different individuals, and the loans seem to be changing. Okay, this has got a lot of yellow flags on it in terms of loan position, in terms of what's really going on with this property. Okay, because the bottom line is this: what you don't want to do, especially buying at auction, is not double check your information. Now notice what we got here. It looks like this Marcela Hurtado, she was using this as her residence before. That's that loan from 03. Notice what it says here, back to beneficiary. So this person lost the property at auction. Let's see when this happened. In 2009. So she lost it at auction in 2009 and got it back and then borrowed more money. Hello. Be careful, okay? This is a hot potato. All right, I got to tell you, this one's a hot potato, and I would be very careful. I would research it and make sure, for sure, that this is a first. Now, if for sure it's a first, and it takes it to auction, I wouldn't mind buying it. Now, I would want to get a low price, and I would be prepared for somebody here to try and sue me and try and get their property back, because they've already proved it before they did it to the lender. Now, it's very difficult for someone to do it to a third-party buyer. It's relatively simple for someone, especially if someone's a gamer or a player, to get it back from the bank that was an REO, and that's what she did here. So she got it back, and then put it in the name of Global Tech Research and then started borrowing. Okay, I'd be very careful because this woman's smart. Okay, I'd be very careful. This is a smart lady. Okay, now if you can get it at auction and you know for a fact that because you've researched it and that this is a first, then you're probably okay. But make sure you get a low price just in case it takes you a few months to shake out an attempt to get it back. Okay, because this lady is a piece of work. Okay. So just a word of warning, just a word of warning. Okay, so this is an interesting search. We've got a couple more to go. So this is my next one in Lancaster. This is on Avenue H14. Okay, so now what do we have on this one? This is a duplex. Now this is pretty straightforward. Okay, purchase date May of 05. Loans both written on the same date. Okay, that's pretty simple. Notice the trustor is Gale White. The owner is the Gale White Trust. Basic stuff. This is what I like, a very simple, straightforward situation. Now, the place looks like it's worth about 206. She's upside down on her first, so the second's out of reach. Wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Okay, now, Zillow says 203. We say 206. As a buyer, I always go with the lower number. Okay, lower number wins. So I'm going to say, okay, let's say at the most it's worth 203. She owes 260. It's way upside down. Now, at auction, the lender can discount it, and they very likely will. Okay, how low will they go? I don't know. Now, what I do if I'm going to buy it at auction is I set a price point for myself, by myself. And so maybe my price point's 150, maybe it's 125. You know, I take a look at the property and just set a number, okay, and just tell myself that's what I'm willing to spend, okay? Kind of hard to tell. So it looks like it's like this. Okay, see how these are kind of these little zigzag structures? They're all built around the same time. So it's like two little houses connected, okay, sharing a lot. Okay, so I'd set a price point because it's a rental property. It might be a great little rental property, a flip maybe, but I need to make sure I get the price I want to pay. And again, set that number. If they open the auction at 100,000, I'm good to go. If they open the auction too high, I just simply don't buy it. The lender is U.S. Bank. It is a residential property. I don't know, I don't think there's really a chance for me to try and buy this note. I think what's going to happen is it's going to go to auction. They're either going to discount it low enough for me to pick it up or it's off the table, okay? And that leaves us just the one last one on Beach Avenue here in Lancaster, okay? Now, what I've got here is a property on Beach. Leiford Hackett is the trustor, and Leiford Hackett et al. Now notice the et al. That means there's other names on the property. Doesn't bother me, okay? Does not bother me because Mr. Hackett, he's the one that borrowed the money, so that loan's on 100% of the property, okay? That's how it goes. All right, so now, look at this. This is a $500,000 loan from 06, okay? It's grown to $705,000. They haven't made payments. It's a triplex. They haven't made payments in years. Okay, and they're adding additional parties onto the property, probably for the purposes of filing multiple bankruptcies. Okay, so this is a little trick here. Okay, bottom line is this. Notice the purchase date 2011. That's because they've been adding people on, changing title. Okay, because the loan's from 06. Okay, that's how if you want to keep a foreclosure from taking you to auction, you play little games like that, like adding people on and having them file bankruptcy. Okay, so we know what's going on with these folks. They don't make their payments, they add additional people on, and they tie it up. Okay, bottom line is this. If this goes to auction, I guarantee you this lender's had enough. Okay, they might open the auction on this property. Now, notice the estimate of value, 356. What does Zillow say? Zillow says 387. I think they're going to open the auction under 3. I think they're going to open the auction for about 250 because they have had enough. Okay. Now, the lender may or may not sell the note. Clear Recon is the trustee. I'd have to go back to the notice of default to see who the lender is. I'm going to guess they're a primary big lender, institutional, because they've let this go for a long time. okay? Most private money lenders aren't going to be this patient. It's probably a big institutional bank, B of A, something like that. What's very likely is going to happen is this is going to have to go to auction, and these people are going to need to get booted, okay? Now, also notice the residence, the address of the property, and the address of the property owner are the same. So this person's been living there in one of the units and collecting the rents from the other two. And they're going to want to stick it out. They're going to want to stay there until they absolutely have to go. And they're going to try and collect rents the whole time. Okay. Now, if I owned this loan, what I'd be doing is I would be collecting the rents from the other two tenants because this loan probably has an assignment of rents clause. Okay. A lot of your institutional lenders won't enforce it. But if it was a private loan, you bet they would enforce it, because if you started collecting rents from the other two units, guess what? Mr. Hackett, it's probably Buddy's brother, Mr. Hackett won't have the income to afford his attorney to drag it out. Okay, that's why most people who buy notes in a situation like that would do this. So with one last check, let's see if this is a big bank. By going back to our main page, dropping it in, hitting paste. Wow, okay, see what I mean? All right, let's open up this notice of default, and let's see. It's City Mortgage. Good luck, you can't buy that note. Forget about it, forget about it. Okay, this is gonna have to go to auction, and these guys are going to have to lose ownership of the property through the process of foreclosure. That's what City's got to do because they're tied up, right? When this goes to sale, I would not be surprised if you see an opening bid of around $200,000 on this triplex that's worth closer to $350,000. This has been Bob with County Records Research. This has been our Friday presentation, January 20th, 2017. An opportunity to look at a few more deals going to auction in the near future. This time we looked at multifamilies in the LA North area. Okay, join us again next week when we're going to find some other opportunities in another area. We might look at multifamily, we might look at single family homes. Sometimes we even jump out of the box and look at some commercial properties. You never know what you're going to find. Anything from gas stations to restaurants to churches, anything can go into foreclosure that has loans against it. Our opportunity is to find the type of property we're looking for and get it for the price we're willing to pay. Again, this has been Bob with County Records Research. We'll see you next week.